first question, Coach, I guess before we kind of get into what you've seen in practice, any way you can kind of give us an injury update on guys like Rocket and Tolu and Keyshawn and where they are in their recovery?
Yeah. Starting with Tolu, he had an X-ray done on Tuesday, and so now he is moving and progressing in terms of his recovery from non-weight bearing to now 50% weight bearing here for 2 weeks, and then he'll be walking without any impediment. He's done everything he's been asked to do. He's doing a great job. It's healing great, so we expect him to continue on this path and be back sometime in late November for us. In terms of Rocket is running. He's moving lateral movements now. He's progressing really well. It will be 4 months post-surgery for him this coming Tuesday. And so he's really making positive progress. And I expect he'll be back by mid-November would be our guess as of right now. And then Keyshawn's making good progress too. And, he has the furthest to go of the three of them. I can't really, forecast how long it'll be for him.
I know it's still early in practice, but what has grabbed your attention from this group so far? What sticks out to you about your roster?
Well, I think our guys are, number one, playing really hard and competing. We got a competitive group, so I like that a lot. I think that we have some very good unselfish play out there. I think that we have some excellent passers that create for others. And I think that, when we get everybody back and we're at full strength, I really will be excited about that. In the meantime, we've got to win games without a couple of our best players being available. And so we've got to really do a good job of executing at both ends of the floor. But I think that we've had some really good leadership, especially from Iverson and Garrison. And, they're doing a good job. I think Cam Matthews is providing good leadership. He's very vocal out there. So I'm proud of that because it's helping all the other guys that are a lot of new guys.
Go to the newest member of our beat, Stefan. Why don't you jump in there with Coach?
Coach, with you bringing in some of these transfers, not only their talent level, but how important was it to get guys that have experience that when they come in, they might be new guys at Mississippi State, but they've been playing college basketball for quite some time?
Yeah, I think it's huge. All four of them that transferred in, came from really good programs, and all had played, important roles on each of those four teams. And, like Garrison, for example, this is his 5th year of college basketball. He obviously has the most experience, and you see it in his leadership qualities. But you also see him leading out on the floor. He's very positive with his teammates and leads by example, and he's got good toughness. DJ's in his 3rd year of college now, and he's a good leader and a vocal guy. And same thing with Shaq. He's only in his 2nd year. And we look forward to getting our last transfer out on the floor sometime here in the next month, and that's Rocket.
We'll swing it up to John Sokoloff, WCBI. John, go ahead.
How's it going, Ben?
Hi, John.
We were obviously, all the new guys that you're bringing in here with a ton of talent, but some of the ones returning, I'm sure, are going to be just as, if not even more crucial, because they have that experience with you and this program, kind of know what it's all about. So it kind of takes me back to Iverson. What improvements kind of have you seen from him, and how instrumental is he going to be when it comes to how far you all go this year?
Yeah, well, Iverson is obviously a very critical player. He's in his 3rd year, so he kind of knows everything that we want to do and how we want to play. And he's worked incredibly hard this offseason. I think he really made another nice big jump, especially his decision making. He's I think even improved his shot some. I think he's done a lot of things to grow as a player between the end of last year to now. But there's no question, he's our starting point guard, and things will start with your starting point guard most of the time.
We'll go ahead and go to Robbie Falk. Robbie, jump on in there.
Hey, Coach. Y'all have an interesting situation. You got a few transfers that y'all recruited heavily coming out of high school, and especially Garrison and DJ. Those were 2 guys that you felt like you had a really good shot with. We know what happened with Garrison Y'all literally almost had him in the door. How do you characterize y'all's relationship with players like that you brought in? And what's it like to finally get them on the court and wear maroon and white?
Yeah, it's been great. I feel really, really blessed to have both Garrison and DJ in the program. And you're right, we spent a lot of effort and time recruiting them coming out of high school. It didn't work out the first time, and the fact that we end up with both of them now is a huge, thing for our program and for our team. And they've been great. Both of them been great on and off the floor. Done everything that we've asked them to do. So it's really a pleasure to have them in this program.
A quick follow-up, if I can, on that. You saw them in high school, obviously. How much have they developed over the last few years? I mean, I know Garrison was up for ACC Player of the Year. DJ's done well also. But what have you seen from them in their development from the time they were in high school to this point?
Yeah, they both have improved a lot. You just look at their bodies, number one, bigger, stronger, faster, quicker. But when you play at a high level, you understand the difference versus coming out of high school, how hard you have to play, how much faster the game is, how much more physical the game is. The amount of detail that goes into preparation for games and detail and just being a good player. And they both were well coached at their previous stops, and so they come in much improved from where they were when they were coming out of high school.
We'll go to Theo DeRosa. Theo.
Hi, Coach. You've got teams like Louisville, Richmond and Maryland, Minnesota, Colorado State, Winthrop. What do you think of the non-conference schedule, and how much of a test will that be for this team?
And don't forget Texas Tech. I mean, that'll
Yes.
be a tough road game in the middle of January, or the end of January, actually. It's a very difficult non-conference. We did that on purpose to try to give ourselves the best chance to have a good high net ranking, but you got to win. And, like Georgia State will be picked to win their conference. We play them here in the Hump during the Christmas break where we're going to need fans. I mean, they're really good. Montana was picked to win their league in the Big Sky, a league that I both played in and coached in. And I know how well coached they are. He's a very good coach. So we've got a bunch of tough games that we're playing. Winthrop, I think you mentioned, be a hard game up in Jackson right before Christmas. All those teams are tough, well coached, and so that's why it's so important for us to get back to full strength, because we've got a very difficult schedule ahead of us, and we need all 13 guys.
We'll go back to Paul Jones.
Coach, kind of a two-part question about different guys, but I've heard a lot of players talk well, and you have too. You told me in June or July that Shaquille Moore is a better shooter, a better player than what he showed at times last year. What sticks out to you about Shaquille, and how is he fitting in at point guard?
Yeah, he's doing a good job. I really continue to echo what I said. His shooting from the three is very, very impressive. He's got a quick release, great rotation, really does a good job form-wise staying in his shot. And he's very confident. So he's a good scorer. He can put the ball on the floor, has a nice mid-range game, finish at the basket, and he can be very good defensively on the ball. In particular, we got to get him to keep improving off the ball defensively. But we expect him to be, a huge piece for this team this season.
And the last question, talking to Cam Matthews lately, he said obviously his big focus this offseason was his shot and improving his shot. And the way he described it, it sounded like he said you helped him a lot with his technique and fixing some things. Sounded a lot like what Iverson went through as far as the push-off hand and the thumb getting in the way of the rotation. Was that similar?
Yeah, and he's not the only one. There's a number of guys in our program that have had that same issue with that off hand being involved in the shooting hand when you're releasing. And so he's definitely working at that. He shot it well today in practice. He made 2 for 4 from 3 today, and I was happy about that because he's doing everything else better as well. He's a better rebounder, a better defender, a better passer, really a smart player. I think, Cameron brings great toughness, but great intelligence to the game. He's very, very smart. He knows where everybody's supposed to be. That's one of his greatest attributes. He's just a real smart player.
We'll go back to John Sokoloff.
Ben, last year, a lot of the time, you guys had such a young team last year. I mean, I think Jalen and Abdul were the only seniors there. And you would mention all the time, like we're just getting experience. It's very valuable for this group and all that stuff. But now you brought in not experience, but also a lot of talent from these other, schools. And a lot of fans have definitely taken notice of that. They have higher expectations for this team than they did a year ago, I would say, is the general consensus. Do you think it's fair, barring a clean bill of health from Tolu and Rocket and the recovery goes well, do you think it's fair for these fans to expect an NCAA tournament appearance from this team this year?
Yeah, that's what our goal is, and I think our team has definitely the opportunity to do that. And the only thing that got me worried about is exactly what you said. It's about our health. If we get healthy and can stay healthy, this team has a chance to do that. And we're not going to rush neither Rocket nor Tolu back. And that's going to be, the thing that, we got to see how they continue to evolve coming back from those injuries. But when we get everybody back and we get them all on the same page, it's going to take each of those guys, a few weeks to get back into their groove once they are actually cleared to play again. But, I'm hoping by the time that, we can get to, mid to early December that we'll be there.
Yeah.
Coach, Javen Davis shot under 40% from the free throw line last year. George Brooks said that's been the main focus for him this offseason. How is he looking right now at the line?
It hasn't been his only focus because he's done a great job with his body. He's much more bouncy and athletic, but he's shooting the ball better from the foul line for sure in practice. And we've got to get it to carry over to games. And so we have our first opportunity this Saturday. We're going to have a closed scrimmage against TCU and Jamie Dixon's team, who's very talented and is going to really be, I think, a good team within the Big 12 Conference this year. So that'll be a real challenge for us. They're 12 deep. They don't have a freshman in the program. And that'll be a good testing point for us here coming up. And it's a real game where we're, obviously keeping stats. And, so that'll be a good test.
Paul Jones?
Obviously, crowd won't be a factor with that closed scrimmage, Coach, but how much are you and your team looking forward to having normal crowds again? And of course, like you said last year, it wasn't an advantage for road teams, and that's going to be different this year with road game environments.
Yeah, it's going to be much better. I mean, I'm so happy that we're going to get back to normalcy in terms of having, home crowds and playing on the road in front of, a tough environment. And I think teams really, it was weird last year. It just had to be for everybody when you're playing at home. In our case, 1,500 was the max. And it was just, odd. So this year will be much different and much better for everybody, as you see with college football. In NFL football, it's so much nicer now to see those full stadiums watching college football. And I'm excited for that for basketball.
We'll go to Stefan.
I just wanted to follow up a little on what you were talking about with Rocket and his kind of return date. I mean, what does this next month look for him, just in terms of bonding with the team, getting to know the play a little bit so that when he does come back during game time, that transition could be a little bit more seamless.
Yeah, well, his next move will be here in the next few weeks. He'll be allowed to start doing stuff like 5-on-0. So we're going through our sets, our out-of-bounds plays, our press offense, whatever it is. He'll be able to start doing stuff without contact. But he's there every day, and he spends a lot of time with his team and his teammates, and has good friendships. He spends a lot of time in the gym working on his shot. I think his shot's really improved. If you ask Rocket, I think his feet are now better placed on his shot. He's really staying into his shot. He's shooting the ball very well because we're still keeping stats, keeping track on all the shots he takes. So we're excited to get him back, and it's just whatever the doctor allows as he progresses. But I watched him sprint in the gym. I think it was yesterday, and it was really good. It was good to see him, get some sprinting in, and he ran really well.
Anything else for Coach before we let him go? Looks like we have a follow-up from Stefan.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up there. Do you think it was his shot that was maybe the reason Rocket kind of took a step from year 1 to year 2 at Michigan State, or what would you address that to?
What was your question?
Kind of what it was for Rocket that his numbers from year 1 to year 2 at Michigan State kind of took a bit of a dip.
I think it was his injury. I mean, he was playing with a torn labrum in his hip, unbeknownst to him. So there was a lot of pain going through for the entire year for that hip situation. And I think they played him at a different position. As a freshman, he played more off the ball, and as a sophomore, he played more with the ball. And I think that was, probably something that was a little different for him as well.
All right, Coach, thanks for the time.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.